Vaishali Kohli and you're watching NewsX. Now, President Xi and President Trump have met after 6 years. This is their first in-person encounter since Trump's return to the White House. The meeting offers both countries an opportunity to ease tensions after months of trade disputes. Trump's tariff measures since returning to office in China's counteraction through limits on rare earth exports have increased the importance of the talks. Both sides are entering talks wary but cautiously hopeful, with Washington signaling that it wants a substantial framework to stabilize relations. Now, after his meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping, President Donald Trump said that China will begin buying soybeans from the United States immediately. The lack of Chinese buying had caused U.S. farmers billions of dollars in lost sales after they largely supported Trump in his campaigns for president. I have my colleague Brian Thomas joining me with more details. Brian, a lot of developments there when it comes to Trump and Xi Jinping's meeting. What can you tell our viewers? All right, viewers, we'll try and reconnect with my colleague Brian Thomas. But I have to tell you now about this big development coming in, viewers. Of course, we all know that President Xi and President Trump have met after 6 long years. And this is, of course, their first in-person encounter since Trump's return to the White House. And I have Ambassador Gauri Shankar, former diplomat, joining me. Ambassador Shankar, I'd like your opening comments on this.
Vaishali ji, good morning, and good morning to other panelists also, to all your viewers as well. I would say that this is somewhat positive development. It is, I won't say it was a great success, but on the appearance, it appears that the China has agreed to provide rare earth to US, which are very vital for their electronics and defense industry, which is a good achievement for US. On the other hand, US has completely failed to negotiate a comprehensive trade deal. They are still talking in terms of finalizing the deal in the coming months, but I think there are many stumbling blocks there. The tariff has been lowered by 10% to 46% from 57%. But on the other hand, the Trump has not, used the supplementary or secondary tariff on China for import of crude from Russia and gas from Russia. That has been completely sidelined. On the other hand, India has been punished for, importing crude from Russia. So on the Ukraine war, I don't think there has been any substantive progress at all. On Taiwan, it was not touched. That issue was not touched at all. That was another very delicate thing which they should have discussed, but it was not done. On the soybean, that was a very vulnerable point for US, because thousands of soybean farmers have been demonstrating, and their crops are going, they are going west. So that has been a win situation, because that comes in the constituency of, Trump supporters. So that export of soybean from US will give some relief to the farmers. So I think these 2-3 things, the rare earth materials, the soybean, and 10% reduction of tariff, these can be said as positives. But the overall trade deal is still an illusion. It doesn't look like, going to come very soon. On the other hand, the supplementary tariff on China have not been imposed. So obviously China's cards are strong, and US is somewhat scared of those cards, particularly rare earth and soybean. And that is why the Trump has adopted a comparatively soft policy with China compared to what he has done to India.
All right. I also have Dr. Sharad Kohli, senior economist, joining me. Now, Dr. Kohli, I was speaking earlier in the bulletin. These are really interesting visuals that we're showing our viewers right now. There's a lot that, even the body language of the two leaders says. Everything looks fine on the surface, but it seems to be a little more than that. Would you like to elaborate?
Yeah, good morning, Vaishali, once again, and good morning to my fellow panelists and NewsX viewers. Well, if you ask me personally, I really don't think this is a big success as far as the meeting is concerned, as I was anticipating, bringing down tariffs from 57% to 47%. So President Trump went all the way to sell soya beans. Well, that's what he traveled in Air Force One to sell soya beans to China. 30 to 35 metric tons was the export. It is down to 5 metric tons. He may have been successful in selling soya bean, which is used in so many Chinese foods. So it suited China. Okay, fine, let soya bean come because we are making so many things. I can name a few dishes where they use soya bean, but that'll be digressing from the topic. But rare earth minerals. There is a saying in English, Vaishali. The taste of the pudding isn't eating it. So I'll have to wait and see as to what culminates after this meeting, because I don't think China would be very impressed with tariff coming on. Wow, what a reduction of tariff, 57 to 47%. So I don't think China is going to be super impressed with that. No dialogue on Ukraine and the rare earth minerals. Well, I don't know how much will China allow because US needs lots of them. So if you ask me to give percentage of success to this meeting, I would put it at 25% out of 100%. So which is just a quarter of a success if you rate it on a 100% scale. So not a very successful meeting. He's already left, and the meeting should have gone longer. I think the reason for that is that a lot of water has flown under the bridge ever since they met last time. The way President Trump has been approaching the world, China is the second biggest economy. The way it is, considering that the dependence of US economy on China, $688 billion, Vaishali, is the total bilateral trade between the two countries. So with that kind of a country, look what he's done to Canada. Mexico, Canada, and China are three of the largest partners of US. And that's been the approach of President Trump, that probably America is some heaven where everybody would like to go, everybody would like to do business with, and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, I feel that America is living in a make-believe world. And it is believing that it's too much of a power, which it is not at this point of time. I have all the economic parameters with me. I'll only name one: $38 trillion, 125% of the GDP is the total debt on America. It may be on record at $30 trillion economy, but it is not what it perceives it to be. Therefore, if you ask me, again, I like to reiterate, not a very highly successful meeting, Vaishali.
Absolutely, Dr. Kohli. And, we know Trump to exert manipulative pressure, but China is not a country that will heed to that. And with that, I want to go to Ambassador Gauri Shankar. Ambassador, now there are very important key issues here about, of course, trade tariffs. We were also discussing trafficking of fentanyl, and it's important because that's, of course, a drug which is responsible for tens of thousands of deaths in the US each year. So I'd like your comments on those two particular points.
Yeah, it's very surprising that the Trump has agreed to reduce tariff on fentanyl, which he has been blaming the whole world that this is causing a lot of deaths in US, and it's causing actually hurting the population in the country. And on the other hand, as mentioned by me earlier, just to please China, he has reduced this tariff. This is very surprising. He has, of course, succeeded in selling some soybean, and getting perhaps the rare earth materials. But beyond that, he has completely failed. The China is, in a way, has many cards against Trump, and therefore Trump has not been able to, push any of the things. Now, can you believe he has agreed to visit China in April, while it is the turn of Xi to visit Washington rather than the other way around? So that is another, important factor, stating very clearly that the US is highly vulnerable so far as China is concerned. And he has been throwing his weight around to Canada and Mexico and to European Union, but against China he appears to be very timid. So I feel that he is scared of China. He is scared of certain leverages that China can exercise, particularly import of agricultural goods, export of rare earth materials, and of course he is also vulnerable on Ukraine as well as Taiwan issue vis-a-vis China.